Can I retire at 60 years old with $480,000 saved for retirement? That's what we're going to look at today on the Your Financial EKG YouTube channel. I got Barney and Thelma Lou. Obviously, the names have been changed to protect the innocent. Fans of the Andy Griffith Show, living in Georgia, asking, can we retire at 60 with $480,000 saved for retirement? And Barney and Thelma Lou are Georgia Bulldog fans. And so I am wearing my University of Kentucky sweatshirt in honor of them because we are fans of the SEC together. Hey, if you're a college fan of any sport, leave that in the comments below. Would love to know that. But we want to look at Barney and Thelma Lou. Now, Barney is still working. Thelma Lou is on disability. Barney drives a truck for a living, and he is ready to stop driving. He is tired. His back hurts. He is ready to retire. So we're going to look at a couple different scenarios today. One, we're going to look at retiring at 60. He's 59 years old, so we're going to retire at 60. We're also going to look at retiring now, and we might possibly look at retiring a little later than 60 and just seeing what all the differences mean. I also want to take a deep dive into their investments today, and I want to show you what we look at when we're thinking about investment analysis. Now, we're not going to get into portfolios and performance and things like that, but I want to go into commissions. I want to talk about fees, and I want to talk about some of the headwinds that keep your retirement investments from growing. Things you need to understand and know. Things you need to ask your investment advisor. Why am I in this mutual fund? Why am I in this ETF? Why am I invested this way? So I want to show you that today here on the Your Financial EKG channel. All right, so here we go. We've got Barney and Thelma Lou, okay, and I put Fife as their last name. I don't really know if Barney and Thelma Lou ever got married on the Andy Griffith Show. If they did, leave it in the comments to let me know. But we've got Barney. His gross annual salary is $43,200, and Thelma Lou is retired. She is on disability. Now, we're looking at a retirement age of 60 for Barney. So we're going to retire in the upcoming year. So our Social Security benefits look like this. Thelma Lou's on disability. She's 58 years old. She's receiving $1,473 a month. She's getting a COLA of 2.58% on her Social Security disability. So we're going to look at a COLA increase for Social Security of 2.58%. Now, in the short term, the Social Security COLA increase could be higher, it could be lower. But if we're looking at the average since the 70s, it's about 2.58%. So that's the projection we're going to look at for her Social Security disability, for her retirement income, and his Social Security benefit. Now, his Social Security benefit at 62 would be $1,365. Now, Barney claiming at 62 is 70% of his full retirement benefit, but Barney does not want to wait until his full retirement age. If he waited until 67, he would get 100% of his full retirement benefit. But Barney says, hey, Drew, I don't know if Social Security is going to be around, or I don't know if they're going to be able to pay out full benefits. So I want to take my money at 62. So he is adamant about taking Social Security at 62. And so we're going to put that into the plan to make sure it fits their individual needs. All right. Now, we don't have any pensions. And let's look at assets. So currently, we've got a mix of assets. We've got about $20,000 or $19,000 in the bank. We've got a 401k at Barney's job of $272,000, of which he's contributing $216 a month. Now, he's also getting a company match of $216. So we have his contribution and the employer's contribution. Now, those are both going to end when he retires, if we're looking at a retirement date of next year. Now, Thelma Lou has American funds in her, she has a Roth IRA at American funds of $95,754, and Barney has a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA at American funds of $27,900 and $67,000. So we're going to look at these, especially the American funds, and that's where I want to talk about fees, expenses, and how you're invested. Because when you look at their portfolios, they sent me their statements. We're doing an investment analysis on their financial EKG. In their portfolio, they own the exact same funds for each of their accounts. They've got 3 accounts: Roth IRA, traditional IRA, Roth IRA. Okay? Think about it. Thelma Lou has a Roth IRA. Barney has a traditional IRA. Barney has a Roth IRA. So 2 Roth IRAs, 1 traditional IRA. What is the difference between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA? A Roth IRA is tax-free. The money you put into a Roth IRA is already taxed, but the money coming out of a Roth IRA is tax-free. Now, with a traditional IRA, the money that goes into a traditional IRA is not taxed. It's called pre-tax. But when the money comes out, it's taxed. So the difference between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA is tax-free versus taxed. So when you're investing for retirement, if you have 2 different types of vehicles, don't you think those 2 vehicles should be invested differently? I have a minivan. I have 3 children, a wife, and 2 dogs. We have to haul all kinds of stuff all the time. Strollers, diaper bags, bicycles, all kinds of stuff. We cannot drive a Corvette. We need a minivan. Now, we also have a sedan. It's normally what me and my wife take out on our dates. We can't get 3 kids, 2 dogs, bikes, strollers in our sedan. But it's got a different purpose. It's for us to go out on dates together, to the beach, to the Rays games, to do fun stuff as a couple. 2 different vehicles, 2 different purposes. That's the same with your Roth IRA and your traditional IRA. So if I'm looking at an account and all the mutual funds are exactly the same, either it's lazy investing or it's a misunderstanding of how the investment accounts are tax qualified and why they should be invested differently, right? So we'll get into that. So let's just kind of keep going through this. So we've got these investments. We have a house of $200,000 of which is debt free. Now they lived in the same house. They live on some land in Georgia. No debt. Now we're going to look at a rate of return of 4%, pre-retirement and after retirement. The reason we're going to use 4% is because these 2 individuals are very, very conservative. Now, that doesn't mean we might not get better than 4% when investing. It means for our projections, we're looking at 4%. Now, you might leave in the comments, Drew, I can get 4.5% on a money market account at Ally Bank or American Express. Great, you probably can. But that's not the projection. We're looking long term. And because they are stepping into retirement, they don't want a lot of volatility on their investments, right? Barney's going to retire next year. And so if he's retiring next year, he doesn't want to have his accounts go down 15, 20% because of market volatility. So that's why we're going to project out 4%. On the house, we're going to look at a 1% rate of return overall. Okay? Now, let's go to expenses, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Expenses are where everybody lives and dies when it comes to your retirement income. You could have $2 million in assets, but be spending way too much money, and I would tell you, you can't retire. You might have $500,000 and have a really good budget and not overspending, and yeah, you can retire at 60. It just depends. So that's what we're going to look at. So they have baseline expenses of $3,421. That means like utilities, lights, food, insurance, taxes, things that aren't going to change, right? Things that they're always going to be there. We're also looking at a 3.27% inflation rate on their baseline expenses. Now, we've got some travel built in here of $833 a month. They want to travel for the next 10 years, spending about $833 a month for that. Now, we can annualize that, and it could be 1 trip, 2 trips, or monthly trips, whatever you want. I just like to annualize it. Now, the thing we also have to think about for Barney and Thelma Lou, especially for Barney, once Barney retires, if he retires at 60, there's healthcare cost that needs to be calculated in. With the way their assets are set up and with their income needs, we can get a subsidy with Obamacare that's going to be much less than just buying it on the open market. And so from 60 to 65, we're projecting a very low health insurance premium, and we have that built into this 3421 figure. So it's not that we're not building it in, but we've got it built into this baseline figure, and we're assuming that when he gets on Medicare, we're going to continue those premiums for Medicare supplements, Part D. He's in a very low cost area of Georgia, and it's a very low cost income. And so that's why we're able to project a lower cost subsidy. If we felt like he was not going to get a subsidy, we could add in a health insurance premium of, let's say, $500 to $600 because of his age and single person. Okay. So we've got expenses there. Now, from a tax standpoint, let's go to year 2024, because that's when he's retiring. We basically, I mean, they're in a 0% tax rate. There's not a whole lot of income that we're going to need. Not that that's bad or good. I'm just saying their need is not high. Keep in mind, they're in a low cost area of Georgia, so they don't have a high expense. If they pull money out of their IRAs for maybe a one-time trip or something like that, then their income could be taxable. But at this point, with the standard deduction, we're not seeing any taxable issues. So what I'm thinking as a financial advisor is, because we have a 0% federal tax rate and he's 60, this would be some really good times for Roth conversions. Can we do some Roth conversions in this lower tax bracket, this 10 and 12%, and does that make sense? Now that's for another video, but that's something we're thinking about when we're looking at taxes. Can we convert? Now it might not be $50,000 a year or something like that, but can we convert $5,000 a year? Can we do $15,000 a year? A little bit goes a long way when you're thinking about Roth conversions, because when they get to 73, they are gonna have a required minimum distribution. So we've gotta think about all those little factors, okay? Again, this video could be like 17 hours long if we went through everything, but I don't wanna do that because I got other things I gotta do. Now, pre-retirement is just how much are we going to be contributing and where are we before we retire? Just like what it says, pre-retirement. So we're 59 and 58. Here's our gross monthly salary. Notice it says gross monthly salary because we have to take taxes out, right? FICA taxes, Medicare taxes, contributions to our 401ks. So there's our monthly contribution. There's our monthly cash flow. That's Thelma Lou's disability. Here's our net monthly income after taxes, net monthly expenses. Our net monthly cash flow is positive. So if we see a green on net monthly cash flow, pre-retirement, that's good. If this was red, we'd be having a conversation. Go to retirement now. All right, so we retire at 60. Here's Thelma Lou. So Social Security for Thelma Lou, that's disability, 1511. There's no monthly cash flows, no work, right? Here's our net monthly income. Remember, there's no taxes coming out, so we don't have to worry about taxes on our Social Security at this point. Net monthly expenses have increased, $3,571. Remember what they were. They were $3,421. We do have inflation of 3.27%. So now they're $3,571. How we do this is a monthly. So $3,467, $476, $486, $495. So you see how that's increasing on a monthly basis? It's like when you go to the store. You don't want to increase inflation on an annual basis. You want to do monthly. The reason you want to do monthly, I like raspberries from Costco. I use this example all the time. Pre-COVID, the cost of raspberries were, let's say, $3. If you go to Costco today, organic raspberries are about $7. So that's called inflation. It's volatile because it's food, but go to the store, buy something that's not volatile, right? Utility costs, that's food and energy, I guess. Buy something that's not food and energy. The Federal Reserve likes to strip out food and energy from their computation for inflation. To me, that's ridiculous because the things I spend the most money on are food and energy. But if you look at inflation over time, we look at about a 3.27% computation, and that's what we're going to use in the projections. Now, we can obviously increase that if we need to in a shorter time period. For example, what we could do for a client is we could say, let's do a baseline 3,421, and let's do 5% inflation, but let's do it only for, let's say, 2 years. So it would end in 2026, right? So then we would go back to the software. I would go, okay, let's go to pre-retirement. We come here and we say, okay, if we have 5% inflation, and then in the year 2026, our income would go to, where's the expenses at? 856. Oh, it's ending. So 3,833. We come back over here and we would say, okay, now baseline 3,836. Was that what that figure was? 3836. Let's see real quick. Make sure I'm right. 38. You know what? When you're trying to do this live on a video, sometimes it screws up, but you're getting the point, right? 5% for 2 years, then we would kick back to the inflated figure, what it was at 5% for 2 years in the year 2026, and that would go on in perpetuity, right? So our inflation would be higher at a beginning area and lower at the middle, okay? So let me delete this so I don't screw up our projections here. 3.27, perfect. We're not going to end it. Okay, good. So we've got 3,421, 3.27%. So I hope you were following me on that. If not, back up, go back through it, or email me if you have questions about inflation. So let's look at this. So now we've got there's our expenses. Those are inflated. Barney's taking Social Security at 62. So we've got 1,550 for Thelma Lou, and then Barney's Social Security kicks in right there. So now we've got 2,955 in Social Security. Our expenses have increased to 4,644, which means $1,709 per month has to come out of our investments. Now remember, our investments are still earning 4%. So they're over here earning 4%, right? So we're pulling money out, but we're also earning 4%. So those two things are working together. If we're pulling out more than 4%, that means we're losing money, or our asset value is going down. So for instance, from year 2025 to 2026, we're pulling out 2138. So our asset from this year to this year is down about 0.12%. Not a big deal, which means we pulled out 4.12% basically from our portfolio, but we earned 4%, so we netted a negative 0.12. Okay, so we're trying to look at what does that do overall, and if you come down here to the end at 94 and 93, we're basically out of spendable assets. We still have our house of $284,000. Remember, it's only getting a 1% rate of return, and we have our Social Security that's still here, $6,677 at this point. So this is a pretty good plan, 94 and 93. Let me tell you why as well. Come back up here to the top. What I love about the software is it shows us what rate of return do you need to earn to make your money last forever. A rate of return is simply what do your investments, your retirement investments, need to earn in a stock market, annuity, bank account, whatever. What do your retirement investments need to earn so that your money will last forever? So the software shows us that they need to earn 4.92% for this to go like to 100 and never run out of money. Do you remember what rate of return I'm using? 4%, right? So 4.92 minus 4 is what? 0.92%. Meaning we only need to make an extra, let's just say 1%. We only need to make an extra 1% to make this last forever. And so I would say we're in a pretty good place. If we earn 5% for the rest of their life, they're never going to run out of money. That's a pretty good plan. Now, I can't predict what the market's going to do. I had a crystal ball. I broke it on the way to the office. And so I don't know what the future holds. But if I told you that you had to earn 5% for the rest of your life to retire today and never run out of money, would you take that gamble? You probably would, right? Because what the market's averaged over the last 50 and 100 years. So let's talk about investments. Now listen, if you want a financial EKG, go to our website, pearlwealthgroup.com right here. It's in the link description below. Click on this download. Download now. Get a free retirement download. Click the box yes that you want to meet with us, or go to schedule a visit. Click on that. Get right on our calendar. Now, we talked about mutual funds because they're in American funds and they own mutual funds in their American funds account, American funds, mutual funds. Okay, now, I'm not against American funds. I'm not for another mutual fund company. I just want you to see what they're invested in, okay, and how we look at that when we are examining their retirement investments, okay? Now, when you think about mutual funds, there's basically 4 types of mutual funds. You have A shares, B shares, C shares, and what they call no-load shares or institutional shares. Now, they're in mutual funds. Now, ETFs, stocks are totally different. We're only talking about mutual funds. So with an A share mutual fund, you have what they call a front-end load. With a B share mutual fund, you have a back-end load. With a C share mutual fund, you have a level load, or basically a no load going in, no load going out means a commission. A load means commission. And you just have a higher internal cost, which is called a 12B1 fee and expense ratio. And then you have no load funds, which are funds that typically don't impose a sales charge, and the expense ratio can range from 0.03 like at Vanguard to over 1%. Some mutual funds have fees that are over 1%. And so we want to look at that when we're looking at our investments, because not only do advisors charge fees to manage money, right? Obviously they do that, but the mutual fund itself has a fee. And so if the advisor's charging a fee and the mutual fund's charging a fee, you're basically doubling your fee. Now, in their case, they're in A-share mutual funds, which means it's a commission relationship, meaning when they buy the mutual fund, there's a commission. So let me show you that. They're in what we call front-end loads. And this is FINRA's website. A commission you pay for the A-share mutual fund at the time you buy the shares, which can range between 2% and 5%. Meaning when they buy their A-share mutual fund, they pay a commission of 2 to 5%. So let me show you a couple of their mutual funds. Again, I'm not for or against these funds. I just want you to see the differences. So one of their funds is the American Funds Euro-Pacific Growth Fund, and it's an A share. It's a Class A share. Now, this fund has C shares and institutional shares, but they have the A share, which means they have a commission relationship with their advisor, meaning when they bought this, they got a commission. Let me show you that. They have a front-end load, you see that front load, of 5.75%, meaning for $1,000 invested, they paid $57.50 in commissions. They also have expenses of 0.84. You see that? 0.84 every year. So on that same $1,000, there's a 0.84 expense ratio every single year. So they paid a commission and there's a higher expense ratio. Okay, one of the other funds, the American Funds AMCAP Fund Class A. Front load, 5.75%. Expense ratio, 0.67. Again, they pay a commission when they buy the fund. They have a higher expense ratio. So my question is, what kind of relationship do you have with your advisor? Is this fiduciary or is this commission? I'm not against the advisor. I'm not saying he's doing a bad job or he or she is a bad person. What I'm saying is, what's the relationship? Is it fee-based? Is it commission-based? If it's a fiduciary relationship, they have to do what's in your best interest. I'm not saying the person selling the commission mutual fund or the commissioned annuity or the commissioned life insurance isn't doing what's in your best interest. What I'm saying is the standard at which they're held is different from somebody who's a fiduciary, because you can actually get these two funds in a lowered fee structured area. My question would be, why not? Why wouldn't you buy a Vanguard Euro fund or a Fidelity income fund or a lower American funds fund that charges a less fee, charges no commission? Why is that? Well, that's the question you need to ask your advisor. And so that's what we're looking at, because what we need to do, remember, we need to earn 4.92% on this EKG to make this money last forever. Okay? Because there's long-term care, there's tax bracket changes, there's, big expenses that we've got to think about. And so we need to peel off anything that's going to keep us from getting to 4.92%. And if we have to wake up every January and make a 0.84% over and above to start making money, that's when we need to start having a conversation about how are we invested. Because let me tell you something, when you step into retirement, you only want to do it one time. You don't want to step into retirement once and go, oh my gosh, I got to go back to work. Barney does not want to go back to work unless he does something for fun. And so we've got to look at all the different areas to formulate a comprehensive retirement plan, which we call a Your Financial EKG. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for watching. God bless. Bye-bye.